Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is more Elvis Presley. This is a documentary, Return to Tupelo. You might not be able to see the video. Copyright. If you want to watch this, I'll leave it in the description below and you can watch along with me if you want. Up to you. Anyway, so you would not be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. But I'll be able to see it, obviously.
As far as the eye can see, a press of excited youngsters from all over the region.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Of Elvis Presley to Tupelo, Mississippi, the town where he was born.
Elvis Presley's world was spinning at the speed of light when he returned home on
That's his mom, right?
1956 for a benefit concert. His shaking hips and curled lips were sending rock and roll shockwaves around the world, causing parents to panic, even in Tupelo.
Like it was going to cause some big trauma, you know, if you listen to this kind of music.
Wow, look at him.
What made Elvis so famous, he wasn't afraid to exploit the shaking and going on, which the white race didn't like. And he was brave enough to hang his career on it.
Everything's tied together. The Brown decision, public school, desegregation, rock and roll music, Elvis Presley. I think it illustrates the fear that black and white in the South are going to come together. Because he's dissolving, in many ways, the racial distinctions.
Without meaning to, and really without understanding it. He's a point of conflict because it's not just the mingling of blues and rock. It's also his reliance on a music that is, quote, in the minds of some, really sinful.
And I know the evil feeling that you feel when you sing it.
In the paper and everything, the preachers, you know.
This is not right.
Devil music. Of course, that made it
Devil
even more
music.
enticing to all of us, you know.
Wow. Devil
in the
music.
50s, we wouldn't have said the word
Wait till
sex
rap
aloud,
comes along.
But I think that's what Elvis was. You know, that I think that it was just a raw sexual urge that he projected that just turned on all the young girls.
In just a few short years, he'd been transformed from a shy truck driver to the #1 singing sensation in America. His journey from a complete unknown to an entertainment icon began in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Certainly did. Let's hear about it. Let's go. Teach me. Teach me. I need teaching. His parents.
The promise of prosperity was in the air when their son Elvis was born here on January 8, 1935, in the family's two-room shotgun shack.
That's their house.
And they didn't know it at the time, but Gladys Presley was carrying twins. And the first baby was stillborn.
The fact that his twin died haunted him for the rest of his life.
Damn.
On the one hand, he felt triumphant, and on the other hand, I think he felt a sense of guilt that he had lived and the other had died, and that he had to do enough living for the both of them.
Ooh.
Tupelo, Mississippi offered
Can you
Brennan and
imagine
Gladys hope.
if he actually had,
The depression
if
kept it from
the
becoming
baby
a land
lived,
of golden opportunity.
you know, it would have been amazing to have like
My aunt
Elvis and his brother
Vernon,
singing. Oh.
Elvis's father would get up every morning and they'd walk the levee from East Tupelo to Tupelo, and Vernon worked at a wholesale grocery warehouse over in town, and then my aunt was a seamstress. The kind of money they made for a 40-hour work week was $2.50 a week.
It was a hard scrabbled life for young Elvis and his family.
Not good. Is it?
But Gladys Presley refused to allow tough.
Back across the track at that time, we had a little string band over there. On Saturdays, they'd give these house parties, fish fries and house parties. And then he'd slip over there sometime, late, when they'd give those dances, and peep and watch some women and men both shaking and going. So that's where he got his shaking from.
His mother was the same way. People said about her in her youth, she did a mean Charleston, and they said about Elvis, he got it natural. Elvis had rhythm.
Things still weren't working out for his father.
So he could dance
In
as well.
November 1948, the family...
When he won the high school talent show,
won
I
it?
just wondered. I was on the front row, and I said, maybe he's got a chance.
He graduated from high school in 1953 and found a job at
Oh God, there he is.
Tool Company. But music was his dream, and against all odds and the expectations of nearly everyone, he set out to break into the music business.
Wow.
Like a Negro, I'll make $1 million.
All of a sudden, one day, I just got a sudden urge to go in this recording studio, which was Mr. Sam Phillips at Memphis Recording Service.
Thank God for Sam Phillips.
A few bucks to go into a booth. And
This shocks me. When I heard about this in the comments, he had to pay to get it recorded.
And she heard something that just struck her.
Sam Phillips came in, and Marion Keisker for a year tried to convince him that this is the guy that you're looking for.
Wow.
In January 1954, while preparing for his career break, he met the 16-year-old Dixie Locke at church. They hit it off. They'd often go to hear gospel singers at the Assembly of God Church, the all-black East Trigg Baptist Church. In June of 1954, Elvis Presley finally got the call he'd been waiting for. Sam Phillips of Sun Records wanted him to record a song. For the session, Sam put Elvis together with bassist Bill Black and guitar player Scotty Moore.
Nothing was working. And Mr. Phillips called for a break, and they started messing around. They were doing That's All Right, Mama. And he came back in and said, "What was that?" And they go, "We don't know. We were just goofing around." He said, "We'll do it again."
By July 5th, they had their first record, That's All Right, Mama, with a radical new sound for the era. A white man singing a song originally recorded by a black man, Arthur Craig.
I think it was Bill Black later said, if we keep this up, we're going to get run out of town.
Like it was going to cause some big trauma, if you listen to this kind of music.
Damn. It was so controversial, damn.
I happened to be in the studio the night that Sam Phillips walked in with a record called That's All Right, Mama by a truck driving singer by the name of Elvis Presley. And
he was a truck driver, I didn't know that.
Heard this commotion.
And that was kind of a pivotal moment in the interview because by saying he had gone to Humes High, Elvis was letting everybody know he was a white guy.
Because a lot of the people who had been calling in apparently thought that Elvis was black. Because he was singing the rhythm and blues.
Whoa! They thought he was a black guy.
So they weren't sure.
But little did we know
wow, I didn't know
that music was changing that very night from what we had known growing up as kids.
I'll tell you one thing, before the day was over, everybody in town was talking about Elvis Presley.
Racist back then? What
it was that quick in Memphis. It was
so
instant.
racist.
It's like a rocket, it's already left the launch, it's not coming back.
By October, it had sold over 6,000 copies to blacks and whites.
I think he did understand the universality of music, and
all of a sudden he looked down and the crowd was yelling, and he looked down and he was shaking his leg and shook a little more, and they started screaming a little more.
Oh, he did that from the first day. What he felt,
Well, I tell you, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm aware of everything I do at all times, but it's just the way I feel. If I were, I can just picture somebody singing a rock and roll song standing real still. Actually, I'd go nuts standing there,
In October of 1954, Sam Phillips scored a major victory.
That explains a lot.
And he had a song called Blue Moon of Kentucky. And it was a waltz. It was a mournful waltz.
Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining.
But it was his song, and it belonged as much.
That's different than Elvis's. It's much slower.
And this young kid, 19 years old, from Memphis, walks out on this stage, and he sings Blue Moon of Kentucky in a 4/4 cut time.
Love this song.
Oh, well, I say Blue moon of Kentucky, just keep on shining.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
One that's gone has left me blue.
And the crowd is underwhelmed by the performance.
He secured a booking on the Shreveport-based Louisiana Hayride starting in November of 1954.
Heard of this.
It's an opportunity to perform on this stage.
You got to
he
remember
wasn't.
when the
He wasn't
Hayride
known
and the Grand Ole Opry
at this
was
point.
in existence.
Not big.
You didn't have TV, and people didn't have anything to really do but listen to radio, or go out at night and get a hamburger, or go ride and go to a drive-in. The simple things of life.
Simple life back then. No internet. Huh.
He was dressed a little differently from everybody else, of course, and the others had on their Western clothes and their dude outfits, and he was had on white bucks, I believe, pink coat. Horace Logan was the producer of the show, and the head
God, he had a pink coat on.
Horace usually introduced the important people. He wasn't too sure about Elvis. So at the very last minute, he says, "Frank, you do it."
And they never seen anybody run across the stage and jump and hoop and holler, like he did. So they was all shocked. What is this boy doing to our country music,
The audience didn't grab onto Elvis immediately because it was an adult audience primarily. So it took a few weeks for the word to get out that Elvis was here and he was making moves on stage that were, really something else.
And so the next thing you know, we had kids coming. The old people they just quit coming. As kids wanted to see.
Oh, it was all over the kids. It was for the kids.
They couldn't hear their favorite act, So that's how it got really started big.
He was asked to become a member of the Louisiana Hayride Show, which was a big, big deal for him.
The band asked drummer DJ Fontana to join them.
Next thing you know, we was working all the time, every weekend somewhere. And man, we was working ballparks, high school gyms, on the back of trucks. We was working anything he could. Well, he had to work.
Wow.
There was no money, just they didn't give him was about $100, $150 a night for all of us. So we had to work 7 nights a week, to make a living.
It's while he's performing at Louisiana Hayride that he starts to go out on the road.
Wow. We didn't worry about the money, just going out and having a good time.
They were building an audience, one gig, one radio station.
Elvis wasn't earning money.
We'd see a big
It's a joke.
there.
The mingling of blues and rock. It's also his reliance on a music that is, quote, in the minds of some, really sinful.
Why I believe that is because I know how it feels when you sing it. I know what it does to you. And I know the evil feeling that you feel when you sing it.
Who is that
and then
guy?
paper and
Tell
everything,
me who that guy
preachers,
is. What the heck?
It's devil music. Of course, that made it even more enticing to all of us,
In the 50s, we wouldn't have said the word sex aloud, but I think that's what Elvis was, that I think that it was just a raw sexual urge that he projected that just turned on all the young girls.
It's around this time that someone in Memphis gives Colonel Tom Parker a call and says, there's a boy out here you might want to come and take a look at.
The Colonel would change Elvis's life forever.
And what the Colonel understands is that Elvis can go beyond Sun Records.
In November 1955, Parker brokered a deal with RCA that bought Sun's rights to
certainly did.
$40,000.
$40,000? Wow.
Well, one time me and Sam were in the control room. He just happened to say that, well, if you're going to make a mistake, make a $12 million mistake. Well, you should have said $1 billion mistake.
Chet Atkins, who was assigned to produce the first RCA recording session, wasn't betting on its success. He hired only one of the backup singers Elvis requested.
He said, "Oh, don't make a difference. Just come on in and do some oohs and ahs. Elvis is just a passing fad. He ain't going to be around long. Don't make any difference. Just do some oohs and ahs."
Is that really what they thought of him?
The session went good because Elvis knew pretty much what he was doing, and of course, Heartbreak Hotel swept the country overnight.
It's $1 million. The first one, Heartbreak.
Yeah, Heartbreak
Which
Hotel.
is unheard of. Nobody ever got $1 million sold right out of the chute. And after that was $1 million after another.
The Colonel kept things moving.
Wow.
Parker
That's
negotiated
shocking.
a buyout of the Hayride contract and set his sights on TV.
We had never done that before, and a bunch of hillbillies out of Tennessee and Louisiana. What do we know about television,
The first TV break came when Elvis auditioned for the stage show.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen this.
By the Dorsey brothers, it was produced by Jackie Gleason.
He said, I knew I had to look different from Mr. Gleason. He said, I just couldn't walk in dressed like anybody else. He said, so I got me a real chartreuse green suit and a green shirt and a green tie. And he said, I walked in with that, long hair and my movements and all. And I said, what happened, Elvis? He said, Jackie Gleason looked up and he said, son, I don't know what the hell you do, but you look so different. You got to be a star.
You gotta be a star. Yeah, I watched this. This was great. This was great. Truly great.
By May of 1956, the constant work gave him enough money to buy a modern ranch-style house in an upper-middle-class Memphis neighborhood for himself and his parents.
Wow.
It had only been 3 years since the family lived in public housing in Lauderdale Court.
That's insane.
He really took care of his mother.
3 years.
Well, that's why he bought the
what
house. For her. He didn't need a house. Not really. We was always on the road, so why would he need a house?
Wow.
There's no other broadcasters who shunned Elvis were now in hot pursuit.
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Allen, who was in
They
a
should have
ratings
shunned him.
war with Ed Sullivan, offered him $5,500 to appear on his primetime NBC show on July 1st.
They just did not know what to do with him. They made a cowboy out of him, had a cowboy hat on him with Imogen Coker. You remember the Andy Griffith and him? Ooh, Lord, that he didn't like that at all.
Oh, Elvis, what? Why? Why?
I think Steve Allen was one of those people who considered himself to be the tastemakers in this country.
It's a hound dog. It's a hound dog.
And so he was making fun of it.
Well, if you wanted to get along with Elvis, you didn't mention the Steve Allen show.
Why?
Controversy continued to swirl around Elvis, while tastemakers like Steve Allen dismissed him as a passing fad.
He was not a passing fad.
A genuine threat.
Here's a guy, hillbilly cat. We can't tell. Is he black? Is he white? What is he? And so I think that's a threat because he's dissolving, in many ways,
So
the racial
annoys
distinctions. And that threatens these people.
They're just so
Everything's tied
racist back
together.
then.
The Brown decision,
What the
public
hell?
school, desegregation, rock and roll music, Elvis Presley. I think it illustrates the fear that black and white in the South are going to come together. They are going to lead a charge, a highly publicized charge, against rock and roll. They're going to call for the banning of rock and roll records. They are going to call for jukebox operators to take those records off their jukebox.
We've set up a 20-man committee to do away with the
We serve white customers.
rock and roll box.
What
In Jacksonville, a civic group filed a petition with local judge Marion Gooding, hoping he'd censor Elvis's upcoming performances. The judge called the sinful young singer into his chambers and told him that he would accept wiggling from side to side, but no back and forth motions.
So instead of doing his little, when they did a roll on the drums, how Elvis would cut up with that roll on the drums, instead of him doing anything like this, he would go like this. Da 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 da. And the crowd would scream. He was perfectly still, and he wiggled his little finger to the drums, and they would go wild.
Those 3 shows won Elvis a lot of new fans, including one no-nonsense judge sitting quietly in the background. As he completed his Florida tour, Hollywood came calling. The Colonel had secured him a movie deal. On Friday, August 17th, he
I haven't watched this yet.
work on the Civil War drama, Love Me Tender.
I don't know how much more of this I can watch because it's now mentioned in his movie, which I have not watched yet, which I'm going to be watching very soon. It's a shame I'm not going to be able to go any further with this. I really enjoyed that, actually. It's like I learned a heck of a lot. He was really controversial for his time. He was singing songs that people associate with black people, and they're so racist. Why are they so racist back then? Oh my God. It's such a big thing about, it's the devil, it's the devil's music and whatever. Oh, come on, please, it's just music at the end of the day, you know? You wait until like the 90s come along and the 2000s, you got rap music. So much worse than this.